All right, guys, welcome back to another student interview video series here. We are joined by a very special guest, Trey, today. Now, Trey this is not going to be a normal student interview. He has not only known us and worked with us for a long time, but he's had a very unique experience, not just in life, but in remote cleaning. So really excited to talk to him about what he did in the past, what he is currently doing, and he's kind of paving the way for a new style of applying remote cleaning to the commercial space that I think you're all going to find very, very interesting. So stick around here. We're going to jump straight into it. But
before we even get into that, how do you like Miami? You got the nice palm trees behind you. You got nice weather. I know you're from Alabama. You've been living in Alabama in that area, but like you're down here for bachelor
Down here
weekend.
for a bachelor trip, and I'll tell you what, my short little view that I've seen so far with y'all has been top tier so far. So big fan.
Sweet.
excellent. Yeah, he came from the warm weather, so it's not like he came from the cold to join us out here today. But Trey, yeah, tell everyone, where are you from? What were you kind of doing before this? I know, you've had a whole host of different experiences, but just kind of catch people up a little bit. We'll start to jump into entrepreneurship and the cleaning space and all that in a little bit, but more of a topical introduction to you first.
Yeah, so about me, originally from Gulf Shores, Alabama, and from there moved out to Austin, Texas about 3 years ago. And when I moved out there for cybersecurity and threat intelligence sales. So I've really been heavy in that for the past 3 years, working at some of the big vendors like CrowdStrike, SailPoint, and a few others. And met y'all about a year ago, and that's when I originally started doing this out there in the residential space in Austin, Texas. And again, I was working my 9 to 5, I was working my W-2, and just with what was going on with work and what I was trying to do to get, meet my quotas and just end of the year and everything, I kind of put this on the back burner a little bit. Now, let's go forward, had a big religious experience, and God wants me in Alabama right now. So moved back to Alabama, quit my W-2, and I've decided I'm going all in with the cleaning now. But what I'm doing different is, again, residential is just short term. You never know what's going to happen. You may have a few more bad reviews. You may have a few people that just a little harder to deal with, and that's when I decided I'm strictly doing commercial cleans. So a lot of the commercial buildings I've talked to that have had cleaners, they have them from 5 to 20 years. So the way I'm thinking of this is, that's a rental unit that you're getting for the next 5 to 20 years. You're going to be profiting $200 to $500 a month on. So I officially finished my first month open in Alabama. And first month open in Alabama, we ended up locking up 4 commercial buildings.
Okay, sweet. We'll talk about like specifically commercial in a little bit, but like for the average person that's watching right now, you said that you're in cybersecurity sales. Did you see like remote cleaning and like this business model and everything like as an attractive option for you because you had the sales experience and like you're good at communication and talking to people, or like what was it specifically that like wanted you to start this other than just like starting your own business? Because there's, as you guys know, like there's so many businesses that you can start. Like why a cleaning business specifically?
Yeah, I don't think the business specifically is the most important thing. The most important thing is just doing something. The most important thing is just taking a step and doing it, because as you said, there are thousands of routes you can go and be successful in. We were just talking about a guy who sells Amazon boxes and has a $20 million house.
Yeah.
So it wasn't cleaning that was attractive. It was seeing someone have a business model laid out and it being successful for them that really kind of just got me started.
Because a lot of people like that we've had like coming to DSA, they say like the fact that you're like solving a problem for someone is like such an attractive part about this business model. And I remember we kind of talked about that a while ago when you were putting everything on pause, but like you're like there's people that, whether specifically in commercial, like they need to have their place cleaned every single week or sometimes even every single day in order to run their business. So it's like you're providing the solution for that, which is like really cool to think about outside of just like making money and like being on their books for 5 years, 20 years or whatever. But like if you want to.
Yeah, and even on the financial side of that, it's like, obviously you were attracted to this so much that you moved away from residential, that recurring aspect of it. You kind of made an interesting analogy there with a rental unit, but I do like where your head is at with it, because people go out and essentially risk or leverage themselves, if nothing else, for $200 a month in cash flow on a rental unit, on a Airbnb, on a something like that, and they go and leverage themselves on a $200,000 to $2 million property to try to make $200, $500, $800 a month, and you're like, well, I could do the same thing, hypothetically, right? You're not building equity the same way. I'm not saying it's one-to-one, but from a cash flow perspective, if cash flow is your objective here, you could do the same thing with no more leverage than $50 Google LSA lead, no more leverage than a few hours of your time driving and doing a walkthrough, vetting and hiring or onboarding some good cleaners. So I think from that standpoint, it is extremely attractive, and it's interesting. A lot of people obsess over the numbers, particularly the revenue and like doing X amount per month, but you gave a really nice vantage point. When I saw your February wrap up, you're like, we did $2,400 in revenue or whatever it was, which to somebody from the outside, they'd be like, oh, dude, that's nothing. And then you're like, I have $950 in monthly profit already secured. To the average person watching this, you're probably paying somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000 a month in rent for your split of it, whether you have roommates or, whatever that situation looks like. I mean, you are either all the way or halfway to your monthly rent already, pretty much locked up, guaranteed, after 1 month of doing this. Now, you've had experience, you've done this already before, but when you break it down from the profit perspective, I mean, how much do you really need to get to for something that is this passive? This is not your day job. This is not your 9 to 5 working all the time. So it's very, very interesting to me. And I want to, before we jump too far down that rabbit hole and go into that, I want to ask you, because you have a lot of good professional corporate experience, like that people like John and I don't. We never worked for big ass companies. We never, really actually did the corporate grind in the way that you have done it, and actually, intend to go back to doing when you're ready for it. What are some of the skills that you got there that you feel like really have become transcendental for you, and like they've just been like integral to you jumping into this industry, learning this skill, learning that? You're like, oh, I feel well prepared because this experience that I already had. Because we love to bash the corporate world and bash the 9 to 5, but it really is an excellent tool in the toolbox.
100%. And with how I work, it's been more knowing, I would definitely say the negotiation. Knowing the negotiation, running the sales cycle. I mean, I have closed $200,000 deals, and out of these $200,000 deals, I mean, some of them last 9 months.
Yeah.
When you're doing with these cleans, I mean, it doesn't take much. I mean, you put the work in to find the people to do a good job, then that's pretty much taken care of. You can go in and do a test clean for them and show them the product up front. Show them how good of a service you're able to provide. Deal closed. You do that with enough commercial units, right there you have, if you get 10 of those, I mean, right there could be $2,000 to $3,000 profit a month. So the negotiation, I definitely learned a lot of that, but the negotiation that takes for this is so, like, I don't want to say elementary, but it's just so much easier to provide value quickly.
And then also too, like, talk about like the difference between selling for like a cybersecurity offer, like company, like you were working at CrowdStrike, versus like selling for yourself with recurring revenue, like what he was talking about. Because that $950 is going to compound every single month. And as someone that was selling for CrowdStrike, it's like you're not getting a recurring, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like you don't have recurring revenue in that field. Like you're selling, and when a deal closed, you get paid out for that, and it's like on to the next one, on to the next kill. This, it's like you can lock in a contract, and now you're going to be working with them for a year, for 2 years. And that's just now getting stacked month over month with new business that you're bringing in every month on the commercial side.
Yeah, no, and I agree. So, I mean, I'm thinking, first thing that pops in my mind is we're building the Great Wall of China right here. Brick by brick, day by day, get better and better. Working with a corporate company doing sales, it's more of a, you have a certain amount of companies you have to close. And I mean, if you got a good pipeline, you put the work in, you're going to have money coming in, but not passively like this. I mean, you're always going to have your out of the wall like deals that come in out of nowhere, like someone gets breached, something like that. You got to have, it has to be the right timing. You got to have the right knowledge. You've got to have even the right product. If you don't have all three of those things, or at least two of those three things, it makes it really hard to be able to close and be successful sometimes in a role. Now, going back to this, I just think of, the low investment with this too. That was what was so attractive is, yeah, you may have to put $50,000 down for a house that may cash flow this same amount. Yeah. I am literally in $400 in startup costs to profit in 1 month, $950 a month.
And half of it's just the LLC.
Absolutely.
Business.
And that you need to do anything. So, to actually have any type of real legitimate business entity, it is extremely scalable. I hate using the term lucrative because it just kind of sounds like gamey, and it's not really the way that I mean it, although it is an adequate way to describe it, or an accurate way to describe it. I would say, you can scale this so much, and honestly, very quickly. I've found in like the short-term rental space, similar to the commercial space, there's a large referral game. All these business owners know each other. These business owners own multiple businesses or multiple locations of the same business. I mean, and like you said, you're not looking for LTV on a 1-year timeline. You're looking for LTV on a 5-year timeline, a 10-year, a 20-year timeline. And really, really what intrigues me about your commercial methodology here is that it actually can be extremely passive. The residential side, it can be passive because you have somebody else doing the work.
Yeah.
But it never gets passive to run the business. Versus, I mean, I have maybe 5 or 6 commercial, units or buildings, companies within my monthly cleaning schedule. I mean, I talk with them once a month, and it's to send them an invoice. Like, that's it. Yep. Because the cleaner knows what they're doing. The cleaner works for me. I have a contract set up with the company, and that cleaner fulfills that contract for me. Like, that's it. There's nothing really else that needs to be done. Yep. You're not dealing with fires and headaches and annoyances and reschedules and this and this and that, because that business is going to be open every day. And so it needs to be cleaned every Tuesday, Friday, or whatever. Versus, the kids are sick, let's reschedule for this week or that week, or this happened, or, that you don't deal with those same things. It really can be a passive income stream, largely. It's never truly passive, but...
I can tell you about, when I started residential in Austin, Texas, I started out with Thumbtack. I had 5 cleans come from Thumbtack. All of them were trying to bid on pricing. They were trying to get the lowest price possible and get me to drop my price. Well, I dropped my price. I made the mistake of dropping my price. I sent my cleaner. She was an amazing cleaner to the house, and there was dog pee on the wall. She used up all of the towels she usually uses for an entire house. She used that on one bathroom, and she called me and said, I cannot finish this. And the person who ended up booking the clean, she wanted a full refund because we were not able to service her. But my cleaner still went out there and cleaned 2 of the rooms, and it was just like, there's so much headache. And with the units that I've went and toured, I mean, these people have to have cleaners. And when I tell you, it's been the nicest kind of, conversations as I'm going and doing a walkthrough, meeting these people, because you get to meet them face to face. And as you meet them face to face, build that relationship. I mean, that's a 20-year customer, for instance. That's a relationship that you have with them.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that jumps out to me, and first I want to say, as somebody who runs a residential cleaning company, not all the customers are bad. The majority of the customers are good. You do have to deal with more bad customers in residential than you do in commercial. But nonetheless, I do think the recurring nature is way stronger in commercial, and I do think the loyalty is much stronger in commercial. I think we're saving money, so we're gonna stop the service, way less frequent in commercial. There's a lot of things that commercial does offer from a stability standpoint that are less frequent in the residential space. Now, it's a different ball game. It's much harder to get leads. It's much harder to get interested parties. You are like, you're really trying to make your interested party list stretch. You're not met with an influx of leads and just tons and tons of people to sift through, but you don't need nearly as many. So it's very, very interesting. I think my hesitation with commercial was always getting enough people through the door when I was local. And now my hesitation with commercial is running it truly fully remotely. So I am curious, I know you just spoke on it a little bit there, but what are your thoughts on somebody trying to do this truly fully remotely? Like, not going to be able to do any walkthroughs, maybe doesn't even live in the city that they're going to be at, maybe has never even been to the city that they're going to be doing this in. Do you think that's feasible? What would you do differently than what you're currently doing? And why are you choosing to go to every single walkthrough, drive hours each way to do, really, really be so hands-on?
So, as I said, I have 4 commercial units signed up right now. Those 4 units are almost a rent payment for a home. So I told myself my first 20 units, I'm going to make sure I go and I in person for everyone. I want to make sure they go perfect. Now, after that, once I have some good cleaners, because I'm actually advertising to the 4 largest cities in Alabama, not just the city I live in. I've driven 7 hours up to Huntsville, Alabama. I had a walkthrough in Montgomery, Birmingham, and Huntsville all in the same day, so 10 hours on the road. Now that I have good cleaners in those areas, I'll send them to go do the walkthroughs after I get through with these first 20 that I want to go to myself. Because if I can lock up 20 commercial units could be about $5,000 of profit a month potentially. So just looking at it in that sense of the first 20 can literally replace majority of people's 9 to 5 income, and it can easily be done in the first 2 to 3 months. So the scalability and just compounding, keeping these customers long term, it's just something I personally would never see if I was just staying there with CrowdStrike doing my sales. So yeah, the benefit long term is absolutely amazing. As for remote, as I was saying, I don't have to go to all of these different cities. You can have a really good cleaner that can go and do the walkthrough for you, and she can kind of give you the whole scoop. You just got to make sure she's your trusted cleaner, like one of your good ones that is going to work well with you, not take your business, things like that.
And then, so like we've talked a lot about the pros of commercial. What would you say some of the cons are? I know one of them that a lot of people talk about is like getting actually paid. So like if you wanted to just strictly do commercial, but maybe you don't have a bankroll, what are like your thoughts and like perspective for someone that wants to do that, where it's like you might not actually like see any of this money for like a month? So like kind of talk about that a little bit, like with your experience.
Yeah, net 30, net 45, net 60 terms, those can be scary to people to think, hey, I'm paying my providers every week, but I'm not getting paid every week.
Yeah, so definitely I've already started with this. I luckily had, a few thousand saved up, and I just paid out to my cleaners. But I mean, essentially, and what some advice y'all gave me was you want to stack in a few residential. So I try to get the larger, like move out, move in cleans. I try to do, Airbnbs, anything larger that I can kind of keep possibly reoccurring to just keep bringing in some of that weekly revenue to be able to pay my cleaners. So any residential I am doing is just going to really be used for payroll until I get my commercial pay.
And I think honestly, you can also negotiate payment terms with a lot of these people, especially if you're not doing mega large commercial, which your first commercials are probably not going to be a ginormous car dealership, a mall, that's probably not going to be your first commercial jobs. So you don't necessarily need to worry too much about it. If you're cleaning a mom and pop, coffee shop, and you say, hey, I want to get paid every week, they can probably make that happen. In the same way that, you can expect a smaller company, a smaller business, a smaller account to work with you, you can expect that a ginormous corporation will absolutely not budge. Like I did cleans for a senior living center. I did cleans for, whatever. They signed a contract that said they would pay me within 15 days of the work completed. It took 75 days because that was their pay cycle. It was 75 days. Right?
$15,000.
And they literally
paid his cleaners like $10,000.
Yep.
Oh my
I took in a $15K job. I paid out like $10,500 of it to my cleaners, and they were like, you will be paid within 15 days. They signed a contract saying that. And then they were like, yeah, our pay cycle's net 60, so you're going to get this in 75 days.
But did they not even say that, though?
No, they didn't say it.
Yeah.
After I got paid, then they
he
told me.
thought that they were straight up like scamming.
Yeah, I
him.
thought they were, because they stopped even answering my calls, anything.
Yeah, but it's like, it's this massive.
Yeah, it is a multi-billion-dollar business, you know, that's operating in multiple countries in like 20 different states, you know, all this. And they're just like, yeah, this is just how we do it. When we have a vendor,
It was like an
they
emergency
go through this.
service, so like he just assumed that he was gonna get it in a couple weeks.
So, you know, you will deal with that on a cash flow perspective, and I would say just understanding that the biggest tool you can have in your arsenal is probably just not taking profits for a little while. You know, not distributing that to yourself until you've built a sufficient cash flow, because you should know roughly what's going to be going out the door for your own business every month. So, you know, if your business is going to be paying out $5,000 a month, it's like, why would I be sitting here with $2,000 in my Stripe on a Friday? Like, I shouldn't be in that situation. I should have $5,000 because it's payday, and you know, I shouldn't be needing to now go replenish funds or whatever. So,
Plus, like, if you want to do some residentials, and you've actually done this. I don't know if you've done any residentials yourself, but you said that you try to do commercial clean. But if you guys wanted to have money yourself, as well as just like if you had cleaners, like, yeah, you can pay them out on the residential side too, but like you can do these jobs too. Like, you don't have to just be the sales guy that's closing the deals and then outsourcing the work. Like, you can actually do these cleans too and be making $30 an hour on top of the amount of money that you're making on the side as well. So
absolutely, yeah. I mean,
like, he did it himself as well.
I was just gonna say, obviously that is like a dealer's choice thing. You know, there's a lot of people that we have worked with that are like, I would absolutely never do that, which fair. You know, fair play. I did it when I was starting out because I was like, I don't have anything better to do with my time. I can go and mop floors and vacuum and, you know, do and get it done. And so I did just that. But I mean, that you always have that luxury because it's your business. Obviously, you have to meet a certain standard. If you can't clean, don't go and clean. You'll just lose customers, get bad reviews. You'll shoot yourself in the foot.
Remember when Brian and Frank?
Yes. Yeah.
Did you ever see those posts in school? They were like, we're 0 for 3 on cleans.
Yeah, 3 separate times they had cleaners like cancel on them. And so they were like, we're just going to go and do it. And all 3 customers were just like, what is this? Like, this is horrible.
You see, I went to my first cleans. So one of them, I booked an 11,000 square foot lawyer's office. And at this lawyer's office, I have 3 cleaners go, and I was going to go and oversee. And, you know, I decided, hey, I'm going to help out a little bit, might as well. And I started helping out, and, you know, actually my cleaner started teaching me and helping me, telling me like, hey, you need to make sure this, you need to make sure this, like going and learning these things as well, even if you're not going to be doing all of them. If you have a really good team, I mean, I have a great relationship with them now, because if I wouldn't have, there's been cleaners in the past when I did residential in Austin, it's like they'll just sketch out, they won't show up sometimes, things like that. But if you have that good relationship with them, then it's been really good so far.
Absolutely. I mean, I used to go and clean the windows while my cleaners were cleaning the insides of the houses. So I could go, I could upsell the customer on windows, wash their windows, check in on the cleaner, make sure everything was going good in there. If they needed a little extra hand, you know, help them in there for 15 minutes, whatever. And all of that relationship building, if you have the luxury of being in person and the inclination to do so. Now, you absolutely do not have to. I mean, for example, like my Minnesota location, I've never even stepped foot in anywhere other than like, I've been to that city twice in my life, we'll put it that way. Like, that's it. I've been to that city for a combined total of like 6 days of my entire life. I don't live there. I've never met any of my cleaners, you know, so you can run your operation like that absolutely as well. If you want to be a little bit more hands-on, you also have the luxury of doing that as well. So you're the boss, you know, you get to make those types of calls. But Trey, some things that I want to talk about kind of as we start to wind this down. We've already shared a lot about the cleaning and kind of scaling up, you know, what you've been doing and what your plans are to go forward. What are some goals that you have for your next, let's say, 3 months, and then your next year, 12 months? And then what are some things that you think somebody who is on the fence about starting a cleaning business or starting an online business in general, some things that they should maybe look internally and say, hey, maybe I am fit to do something like this. Maybe I'm not fit to do something like this. Maybe this is something that would lend well to my goals or not. What type of internal audit did you do where you were like, yeah, I need to go and start a business. I need to go and do something else myself.
Yeah. So, first thing I looked at was risk to reward. I was risking $500, and anybody who's been working for any time, $500 is $500. Yes, $500 for some people may be quite a bit, but you can work for a week anywhere and make $500. So $500 investment for 1 month, and the speed of being able to compound this profit coming in, compound this revenue so quickly, that was the first thing that kind of went through my head. And when I hopped on a call and kind of talked with John and Mark about how fast they were able to do it and actually see their numbers, that was pretty big for me. Now another thing to think about
I just want to say real quick too, guys, forget the $500. The only barrier to entry to this is just your time. It's just do you guys have time, and are you willing to commit it into getting this started? That's basically what the cost is. Because I remember when we were in high school, or my dad would tell me, it's you'd hear these statistics all the time where it's the average business takes 3 years to be in the black. It's now it's you can start a business, maybe spend $1,500 because of ad spend in the first month, and maybe you do some test cleans and you have to pay out some expenses for yourself, but it's where else are you gonna get an opportunity like
that? I was profitable in 45 days on a business that did over $250,000 in year one. That's just that's not even possible in the traditional business world. But yeah, so your first thing is your risk to reward. You're okay, I have to risk this, but my upside is this. That's a no-brainer.
And then another thing would be, so again, I've been an account executive for about 2 years now. And as an account executive, I was a hunter. I've sent 20,000 emails a month, made 100 phone calls a week. And it's all outbound. If you're not a salesman, if you're not in that field, look, it's okay. You can learn that on the fly. These people are people that want this service. So, for instance, I got introduced to ads. They introduced me to some of the Google ads, how to do that. I had 51 inbound calls in my first month. I just want to throw that out there. So, these are...
And that's targeting just commercial, right? Just commercial, big residential, all that. So that's not even like a real full service, but 51 calls inbound. So that's no outbound work, no one trying to convince them. These are people that came to you saying, I really want your help.
Yeah. 100%. And out of those, again, I'm doing this throughout the state. I'm trying to do this in the 4 biggest cities in Alabama. So with that being said, there are price differences for every one of them. If someone's had their cleaner for 20 years, they had one bank I talked to had their cleaner come in 3 times a week and paid them $500 a month for having 3 people there.
So 3 people, 3 times a week. So essentially 12 services for 3 people. So 36, labor hands touching this every month for a split of $500. That's $15.
Did you talk about that on the call that one time when you were breaking that down?
Yeah.
That is...
It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense.
We weren't able to close all of them.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. I'm not going to take a job that I'm not going to be able to, profit from, or someone who's just, where the city, where the income ratio, the income level there was much lower. So you got to be able to find cleaners for the right price, and you kind of work on that a little bit. But yeah, again, that is one of the biggest things, is just focusing on finding profitable units.
So then the other question that I had for you before we wrap us up here is going to be some goals you have for 3 months from now, 12 months from now, and then, ultimately, I know you're going to work back into a W-2. What are you looking for before you make that jump, all of that?
Yeah. So I'm someone that I always believe will be interviewing. I love cybersecurity. I don't want to get out of the cybersecurity field. It's something, I know I'm going to continue to do. So I want to stay in that. But again, I'm not going to be looking for the next 5 to 6 months. I want to get this running really well. And if this is running to a point to where it's profiting me quite a bit, and I can be fully remote, then you know what? I may not go back to the W-2. But I want to keep all options open. Making an extra 100, 200K in a sales role coming in every single week, guaranteed paycheck on top of having this come in. I mean, look, I'm in my 20s still. Like, money is money coming in. So.
What does Cody Steele do? Doesn't he do some sort of?
He's in sales. I think it is software. I don't think something, but it's not cybersecurity. But and he's the same way. You know, even when his business was doing really well, it was never like, oh, I'm going to quit my job. You know, it was
he
like
likes his job.
Like he wants both. He's like, why would I get rid of this job that I like? I don't have to work that much or that hard. I make $160K a year. You know, why would I not have them both?
Yep.
So,
100%. I mean, honestly, in the corporate world, if you're in sales, you can get your day done with 4 hours of hard work. Like 4 hours of hard work, I got everything done I needed for the day. I'm just answering calls and doing outbound calls for the cleaning business. I mean, end of the day, you are more doing people management with the cleaning. It's not really, again, like if you have enough inbound calls coming in as well and you're doing some good marketing, you're posting in all the Facebook groups, you're getting your name out there, you're going to have calls coming in. So it's definitely something you can do kind of a 50-50 split with.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize that. Like, my buddy Nate, he just moved to Miami. He does private equity. And when he came down here, he was 4 days at the office, 1 day remote. Starting in, I think, like the second week of March, he's going to be Monday only in the office and then Tuesday through Friday at home. He says while he's working at home, he starts his day at like 9:30. He's done at 2. He does private equity. He makes like over $200K a year. He works 4 hours a day.
Yep.
It's like, what?
well, I mean, the corporate world is set up for all this inefficiency and slowness and latency and problems. So it's like,
that's a pretty good gig.
It's a great gig.
Yeah.
Like, why would you get rid of that unless you're like me and you're
well,
unemployable?
But he does Turo. Like, he has all these different side hustles
Yep.
that he does too. Like, he has an entrepreneur like mindset.
He has
as
a
well.
Maserati that he just bought.
Yeah,
It's
he just-
fucking sweet, and he just rents it out.
Well, it sounds like I need to switch professions. So
Yeah, I don't know. He's a brain. Not that you aren't, but you guys are brains in your different fields. He's like, yeah. Shout out Nate if you ever watch this. You probably won't.
He'll watch this. He
Oh,
watches,
okay.
he
All
watches
right,
all the
Nate,
videos.
thanks.
I want to say that too.
Yeah, guys. I mean, anything else, John? Any closing questions? Any closing remarks? Anything?
I mean, the last one would probably just be like the evolution of your business. Do you think that Alabama is going to be the only location? Let's just say you crush it, you get your 20 units, and then you start having your cleaners kind of like do everything boots on the ground. Would you consider like automating that and then starting another location? Would you maybe think about going back into Austin or having, I don't know, like another one in Alabama? Or like, what are your thoughts on that if you have that early success that you were saying?
So, and I don't think I touched on the 3-month and 12-month. 3-month, first off, is to get those 20 units. I want to get those 20 units in the first 3 months. You know, if I don't get that in the first 3 months, we're going to keep trying for that 4th month. But my goal is the first 3 months. That should bring in almost a full replacement for my 9-to-5 that I did have. So that is going to be the first 3 months. And then for the first year, I mean, I would love to grow this business up to about $500,000 a year. So revenue. So, you know, I want to start with the 20 units. Once I start with the 20 units, I just want to scale up from there. Because again, this is compounding 5 to 10 years. Now, as for what I want to do after this, if I get it running real smooth, I make it a well-oiled machine, then I'm going to start bringing people in. I'm going to start hiring people to actually manage each location. So, you know, in Montgomery, Birmingham, Huntsville, I will have my lead cleaner be the manager over these teams, and they'll be able to kind of more help me do all of this. They'll be taking inbound calls in those areas and doing that, or like y'all do, get virtual assistants to help run, automate, office managers. And, you know, if it works well in Alabama, well, guess what? Georgia's 5 hours to the right.
Atlanta, baby.
Mississippi, a
Hey,
couple hours to the left.
and you know, I'm salivating at those mid-major markets. You know, that's my bread and butter right there. I love that he didn't say Austin and Houston and Dallas and.
Well, no Houston.
Yeah, no Houston. no, boo Houston.
And then
But-
one other thing too, because this is going to be on the YouTube and everything. If you do start that account on TikTok, what do you think the username's going to be? Where do you think they can find you? Like, do you have a username in mind yet? What you would have for social media?
Where people can check you out when they view this in like 7 months.
When
And
they
they're
view this in like 7 months, they can look in the bio because I don't have a name yet.
Okay.
What do you think? Just if you had a
Well, my company is Squeaky Clean Team, so we're doing commercial services. So it may just be
Squeaky Clean Commercial Services.
commercial services.
There you go.
It's not taken.
Yeah, check the description just in case, because it may not be.
definitely.
But Trey, thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to Miami. We hope you enjoy your bachelor weekend. Shout out to the bachelor that you're here visiting. What's his name?
Evan.
Evan, you definitely won't see this, but shout out to you.
It's like he's got a different mindset for 3 months than he does, eh?
Yeah. Evan's on the runway here. He's shout out Evan. Roll Tide. And that's all we got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching the video. We'll be back with more videos on this content, more value, jam-packed. If you haven't already, also subscribe to our other channel, my @ParkerJSmith channel, where we post the lifestyle, vlogs, all the more fun sides of running a business, being an entrepreneur, living in Miami, etc. Make sure you also go to the description, subscribe to that channel. Find Trey's channel, find John and I on Instagram, TikTok, X, wherever there's content, we're there making it. We appreciate your guys' support. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do smash the like button. Leave a comment if you have any questions, any other guests you want to see in a video, anything we should ask our next guest. And again, we just appreciate your time. We will see you guys in the next video.